If it's something you don't need, the muscle will appear weak because your reaction time slowed down. If it's something you need, the muscle will remain strong.
So really and truly, there is a physical basis for what your body does need emotionally or energetically, so to speak.
Right.
Now, is there any way or anything that these can be used for as far as the physical body is concerned? I mean, are there psychosomatic diseases?
Right, there are many psychosomatic conditions. One of them is asthma. Another one is headaches, chronic headaches. Allergies often have psychosomatic origins. And then you can have things like chronic craving for sweets, which can be totally emotional, and you take the remedy right in the beginning of craving the sweet, and it will cut that. It'll get to the underlying emotional gnawing feeling of you have to have more that's never really satisfied by eating. This will satisfy that immediately, so you won't have to eat as much. And it's also good for stopping smoking and for alcoholism and many conditions which have psychosomatic origins.
It's so fascinating to think that our bodies and the things that we experience physically and emotionally, well, emotionally obviously, but physically, are caused by underlying emotions, underlying emotional blockages. You often hear that there's a difference between positive emotion and negative emotion. And I know that that's what you really talk about when you talk about the Bach flowers. Let it go, the negative emotion. But what do you mean by negative emotion?
Okay, a negative emotion is an emotion that's unexpressed. Positive emotion is one that's expressed. For example, if you have anger that you express, it can be a positive emotion if it's expressed cleanly and correctly. And if you have love that's not expressed, that can turn into a negative emotion. Or if you have anger that's not expressed, that can be a negative emotion as well. And what the way these work, as opposed to psychotropic drugs, is that what you do is the emotion comes up to the surface rather than suppressing it. And you get to deal with it, and you get consciousness growth from these.
Interesting. Now, when you talk about physical results, you're not talking about any kind of addictive tendencies. I mean, these things, the Bach flowers can't be negative as far as causing problems or being addictive or any of that sort of thing.
No, these are totally non-toxic, and they're not habit-forming. As a matter of fact, they're self-limiting. In other words, you will only need to take them for a week, 2 weeks at the most, usually.
That's it?
Yeah.
And never again will you experience emotion in that way?
Well, you may experience an emotion at a later time. You can experience anger now and maybe 2 years from now, so there's nothing stopping that. What this will do is release the emotion, give you a more positive attitude towards that, and sometimes there are emotions which you don't have to express again or experience again in the same way.
Because you've let go, as you say, of the underlying cause. It's so amazing that, why have these things not become better known, do you feel, until now? I mean, even at this point, more and more people are hearing about them, but it's been, I mean, it hasn't been widely acclaimed or certainly widely used.
Well, these are used all over the world, but it's a holistic treatment, and there's been no scientific long-term studies done on them and FDA approval and all that. So it's something that just the research hasn't been done on it.
Yeah. But now, how did it all come about?
Well, there's a Dr. Bach, Edward Bach, who was a Harley Street physician in England. He was a homeopathic physician. He had a very lucrative practice, and the last 6 years of his life, he gave up his practice and went into the fields in England and found the wildflowers, found out which ones affected him, and he was a very sensitive man and could pick up on which ones affected him and why, and then he started using them in his clinical practice, and he noticed some very major changes. In his opinion, he got tired of treating the symptoms and wanted to treat the underlying emotional cause. So in his opinion, the emotions are very often the cause for problems. So he wanted to treat that. And he felt that the cause of disease was a conflict between the personality and the soul over your life's work. And so,
across the board, I mean, generally speaking, that's what we all experience.
So if you have a conflict, underlying conflict between your personality, which is putting down your efforts to reach your fullest potential, and your soul or your higher self or conscious mind wants to experience that, then there'll be an inner conflict, or you'll feel ill at ease or dis-ease, and these will help to release that.
And he actually tested himself with these. So you said that there has been no long-term scientific studies done on these things, but yet you do see results.
Right, I see results every time they're used. They're very effective. Sometimes dramatic results are seen.
Now, what if you don't get the right one? Is it going to hurt you at all?
No, it just won't be effective.
Seriously, so, I mean, because you don't always have to go to someone who's going to diagnose what you need. You can get them in health food stores, that sort of thing. So if you just happen to take the wrong one, you don't have to worry. You're all right.
Right. It's good not to take too many of the wrong ones, though, because you'll be releasing all sorts of emotions. But it's good to go to someone who knows what they're doing. Or you could, if you read up on them and really know what you're taking, then you can take it without
much problem
being treated by someone.
What about the rescue remedy?
Well, rescue remedy is a real interesting one. It's a combination of about 5 different Bach Flower Remedies. And what it's especially good for is immediate trauma or a accident. So the story I like to tell about rescue remedy is there's a veterinarian who was treating a dog that was just hit by a car. His heart stopped beating, the dog stopped breathing, and the veterinarian tried using all the regular medical measures, doing CPR and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, using medications, and nothing seemed to work. And so he had some rescue remedy in his office, and he figured, why not try it? And immediately, within seconds, the heart started beating and he started breathing again. And he figured, I'm going to start using this stuff because it really works.
But now, there wasn't an underlying emotional cause for the accident.
No, the dog was in a state of shock. And so this released the emotional tension of the shock. So the reason why these work is because when you have an unexpressed emotion, you're going to have a lot of muscle tension, which is going to stop blood flow to a muscle or to an internal organ. And what these do is release the energy from the emotion and allow you to relax, and then the blood flow can return and health can return that way.
Amazing. How it's all one big unit, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have a phone number. For those of you that have a few questions about Bach flowers or simply would just like to hear more about them, you can call Dr. Rettner at 8. He'd be happy to answer your questions and tell you whatever else you needed to know. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Very interesting.
Thank you.
We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.